right, so Chad, take us back before real estate. What were you doing? Who was Chad before this game?
Wow. I guess if I just go immediately back before real estate, that would be entertainment industry. So I was in Las Vegas where I got started in real estate. I was there because of entertainment. I originally had worked on cruise ships in the entertainment world, had moved to Las Vegas to work in the entertainment world. I was working with names like David Cassidy, Tommy Tune, Michael Crawford, Rick Springfield, blowing up things in the largest production show in the world, EFX at the MGM at that time, managing a Rat Pack show. So to me, it was entertainment was my evenings, and then the transition came into real estate during the days.
Well, so from the entertainment industry into real estate, I mean, what had you interested in real estate to begin with, and why make the transition? Because it sounds like things were going just fine.
Things were going well. I was working in the evenings. Here's what happened. My daughter was born, and I decided that I didn't want to work a 4 p.m. till 1 a.m. shift anymore. And, you know, I thought real estate would be better hours. Little did I know what I was about to get into. My agent, Jenny McKenna, shout out some huge love to that lady. Jenny McKenna was my agent at that time. Her and her father were going to open a property management company. And they said to me, you know what, you'd probably be great at the property management stuff because you love being on the computer. You love doing all that computer stuff for us. Here's what we need you to do. We need you to get your license. You could do that during the day while you're doing the shows in the evening. You need your license to show properties. So then I got my license, showed up, said, I'm ready. They said, well, we're not. So why don't you learn real estate instead of property management, sit in the back seat and shadow me for a little while. My first year in real estate was 75 transactions as a buyer's agent. So they quickly said, no property management for you. You stay with this real estate thing. You kind of have a knack for it.
So Chad, tell us a little bit more about that. 75 transactions your first year is obviously a great measure by anybody's definition.
Yeah.
I understand that led you to being the rookie of the year. Tell us a little bit about how you were able as a brand new agent to have not only the time and awareness, but the confidence in the education and the awareness to be able to help that many families your first 12 months.
A whole bunch of things from all the different things you said. Confidence, I didn't need to worry about that one. That one, mom has raised me since I was little to always have confidence. So that one I had, when I got into real estate, everybody I knew said, finally, right? You've been a salesman your whole life. Why haven't you been doing some sort of sales industry? So that came naturally to me. Education, you couldn't ask for a better place to be than at Keller Williams for education. They were teaching some amazing things. I mean, this is way back. People won't remember Camp 443, way back. That shows how long you've been with the company. I was at KW before the Red Book. That's how I kind of, say it to people.
Okay, a long time. Before we were born. No, just kidding.
It's been a while. Being with a team, I recommend to so many people, everybody who jumps into the industry, I highly recommend you join a team to get started. It's a great way for people who have leads, who have the systems to help you get your feet underneath you and move in the right direction. So to me, it was a team that had a great reputation, a team that had great systems in place, a team that gave me the opportunity to generate leads. And then, of course, I had no problem talking with anybody and I have no problem asking for the business. So I was able to completely generate opportunity after opportunity for myself, which then led to that huge year, my first year in business.
So what were some of those things that you learned in that first year? I mean, handling that type of volume year one, there were certainly some challenges. If you can think back to that, Chad, I mean, what were some of the biggest things that you found as gaps in just yourself as a person or as a business owner that you knew were going to have to be closed in order for you to hit that next level of performance?
Oh, great question. I'll give you two things that are coming to mind as you say that. One that had to be closed and one that should never have been closed. Because I learned the lesson that paperwork is not my friend. So that was one of the reasons of joining a team, brought me that. I never have been good at paperwork. I never will be good at paperwork. I have no intention of ever learning to do paperwork well. I learned very quickly in life, leverage that to someone who's good at it because my strengths were too valuable to waste sitting there attempting to put together the proper paperwork. The other piece of it that I learned that I needed to learn better was closing. Too many people learn scripts on how to open. Not enough people are learning scripts on how to close. Too many people are showing agents, or I'm going to show you a house today. Stop using that language. You should be, I'm a selling agent. I'm going to sell you a house today, right? We need to get our mindset right. We need to get our scripts right. We need to understand that we have to learn how to close, because too many people, it's probably the biggest weakness I see in the real estate world. Doesn't matter what role you're in. We wait for the other person to close themselves, whether you're a team leader, whether you're a OP, whether you're an agent, whether it doesn't matter. We're always waiting for the other people to close themselves instead of learning how to close.
It's such an interesting topic that you bring up. And I actually talk about this very thing with real estate agents, how it's your responsibility as the professional to move that person forward to the next step in the transaction, whatever that may be. If it's a cold lead, then an appointment is the next step in closing. Closing simply means asking for the appointment. Would you agree with that, Chad?
I would, Joe, 100%. Absolutely. You say that really well. We have to move them along, right? You go to grade 1 to go to grade 2. You go to grade 2 to go to grade 3. The teacher's job isn't to do anything except be able to move you along, hopefully inspire you, and of course, educate you to a certain level. And if agents would think about it the same way, or even team leaders, I don't know how many team leaders I've had the pleasure of working with when I was with the Southeast region, team leaders that wouldn't close. They would just talk all day until the other person said, well, I should join, shouldn't I? Right? No, you got to move them from grade 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, all the way until they graduate with that diploma, whatever that is.
Totally. So, Chad, you see all this success in year 1. Take us through the next, chapter. Where did you go next? Did you, start running a team? Did you grow your own team? Where did you go after that successful rookie year?
We grew the McKenna team, and I was given the opportunity to be the buyer's agent manager. So we grew that team. We added 5 buyer's agents that I had the pleasure of teaching, training, working with to help them grow. My intention was always I shouldn't say always. My intention at that time was to end up helping Jenny run the family business when her dad, Tim, stepped aside. Yet it's a powerful lesson on how things can change for good, for bad, for different, depending on what happens. And a few things happened. So Max, Jenny's husband, friend of mine, guy who helped me connect with Jenny in the first place, he ended up getting his real estate license. Well, it became obvious, of course, husband and wife are going to take over for daughter and dad instead of me in the situation. And we had a little bit of a difference of opinions on how to do certain things on the team. So it became time for me to move to a different team. So I had the pleasure. I always described it back then as I went from like the Red Sox to the Yankees, right? I mean, it was when Chad left the McKenna team, which was the number 2 team in the market center, and joined the Brinkus team, which was the number 1 team in the market center. It was right. It was that big move from going from one of the big houses to the other houses. I learned some powerful lessons. Tim and Jenny built such a family run business. They showed how possible it was that your clients could become your family, right? If you wanted to write a letter when you worked with Tim and Jenny, they had postage, they had stationery, they had all that stuff ready there for you to write the letter. Rick and Terry, fantastic people, some of the greatest mentors I've had in my life in those 2 people that I'll never be able to repay for all the things specifically Terry has done for me over the years. Completely opposite. Now you found a business, right? You found someone who knows how to run a business. You want to write a letter to someone? Good. Go buy yourself some cards and go get some postage and send it off. That, right? It was very different. And my idea at the time was, after I had learned from this family team and was learning from Rick and Terry, the plan was to form my own team, taking the best of the 2 worlds and bringing them together. Never got the opportunity though.
Before we move on from this topic, I think this is really curious because obviously agents want to find teams that can support their personal goals, and teams want to find agents whose goals they can support. And I noticed that when there's turnover, Chad, a lot of the times in my experience, that turnover from an agent to a team is typically because of a lack of expectations being met. Not that the team's not providing value, but it's maybe not in alignment with what the agent wanted or thought they were getting. So with your now years of experience and with different teams and being in production, what are some of the most important things that an agent and a team rainmaker need to be asking and diving into before they decide to get into partnership with each other?
Why are you here and how long are you planning to stay? Those would be the 2 questions I would ask if I were building a team. Very rarely do we have someone join a team that stays on a team forever. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen. There are some people with loyalty that hit a level that they just love, that become part of a team, stay with the team forever. Yet the rainmaker has to be okay not looking for the agent that's there for life. The rainmaker just has to realize that those agents are, if they're highly successful on your team, there's a really good chance they're going on their own. If they're a disaster on your team, there's a really good chance they're failing out of business. Okay?
Right.
You've got to be okay with that as a rainmaker, that people are going to come and people are going to go. The idea is finding the people who are worth plugging into and saying, hey, I understand your goals. I know, David, you've always wanted to go to Paris. So how do I help you achieve that as a goal, right? Or Joe, I know you've always wanted to get extra healthy. So how do I help you also get into the running of a marathon or something while you're working on the team? And really pouring into those people. Agents have to be clear on what they are getting from the team, because too often agents, all they focus on is the fact that they're losing 50% of their check.
Right.
Okay. They're not losing 50% of their check. They're probably getting 50% of a check they never had in the first place.
Right.
Right. And agents have to come in and understand that when I'm joining a team, I'm getting leads, I'm getting help, I'm getting admin to take me away from doing the things that I shouldn't be doing so I can learn how to do it. And everybody just needs to be clear up front. There aren't specific questions other than why are you here? As in, why would you join my team? And how long do you intend to stay? I think the biggest challenge is too many rainmakers talk people into joining their team. And the rainmakers I have the pleasure of coaching, we do it the other way. We absolutely flip the script and we have the agent tell us why we should even consider taking them on our team. Too many rainmakers are just desperate to grab people and they just vomit their team all over people until they'll talk them into joining and they never should have taken them.
I really appreciate that advice. And it makes me think of, once you start growing a team, you're really making this jump from salesmanship into leadership. And when I explain that to a rainmaker, I talk to them about the 3 R's. You're reaching talent, you're readying that talent, and then a big piece of leadership is releasing that talent as well. Right. And if you're not comfortable with what that conversation looks like and preparing people to then exit your business into other opportunities, then that's going to be a big learning curve that you need to grow into. So Chad, you do all these things. You go from the Red Sox to the Yankees, and then you start. I mean, you're in Bellingham now. You're really a performance expert. And you are just helping other people grow into like high levels of performance. You've done so many other things along the way. Describe for people right now, like, what does your day-to-day look like now? Are you still working with buyers and sellers, or have you really taken on just this coach dynamic?
A great question, David. And I'll take you back for that. When I became a team leader, Rick and Terry asked me to become the team. They didn't ask me. They told me I was going to become the team leader for their market center. Let's just be honest, right? She might have asked me, but she knew where the answer was going to go, whether I wanted it there or not. I realized at that time that the team leader's role was to support and grow agents, not compete with. So I immediately stopped selling at that time. When I moved to Bellingham, Washington to work with Ben Kinney and become a team leader up here, I got my license only to keep it. Yet I never sold a single house up in Washington State because I believed as a team leader, my role was to support my agents. When I moved to the Southeast region and moved to Atlanta and had the pleasure of becoming the growth and productivity director for the Southeast region, didn't even take a license when I moved down to Georgia because I was there to help the 10,000+ agents we grew that region to on how they could succeed at business. My job wasn't to compete with them. So I haven't gone back into sales. I could pick up a client today and probably close them by the end of the day still. The only thing that would be different is maybe some of the forms are a little different than when I was selling. The sales itself is no different. And I don't want to compete with the people I'm helping. So I have gone complete maximizational coach. That's what I have become over the last many years.
For you personally, Chad, what's more fulfilling about being that coach that you just described instead of being in sales?
I can sell 75 houses in one day. Right? I could never do it. I could sell 75 houses. I could sell 75 houses in a year in my first year, and I could sell more than that in future years as I learn that opportunity. Yet as a coach, I can sell 75 houses in a day because each one of my clients can go out and sell a house today. And I can say, boom, I just helped us help 75 people achieve their goals of home ownership or home sale.
That's changing the way that you look at something so that your world becomes like that much bigger, and subsequently the world of all those people that you're impacting. I absolutely love that. I mean, one of the ways that you help agents do that, Chad, is through it's something you call space. And I wanted to ask you about this. You know, I think when we're coaching individuals, a lot of it comes down to mindset and time management. And I want you to take us into this concept that you teach around calendar and time management called space. Could you just bring us into that a little bit?
Absolutely. I can very easily do it. So it's in the book, right? Achieve Your Apex, my new book. I put it down on paper finally for everybody. I didn't used to call it space, David, but when you write a book, you got to have cool acronyms, right? So that's where space came from. So I'll take you guys through this right now. It's 5 things that you need to know when you're actually building a calendar properly, in my opinion. And space is the thing to remember. So S is start of the day. When do you start your day? And what does your morning routine look like? Okay? The more consistent you can be with it, the less you have to waste any energy thinking about it. The worst thing any human can do is hit the snooze button. Okay, so if you're going to start your day at 6 o'clock, don't tell me you set your alarm at 5:45 so that you can hit snooze twice to get up at 6. Set your alarm for 6 and get up.
Right.
As soon as we hit that button, we have said, I failed already today. I'm not even out of bed and I failed. Not even out of bed and I failed. And if you think you're doing it to help yourself, you don't understand how sleep works, right? Interrupting your sleep like that does not allow you to fall back into a REM or a deep sleep state, which I've done a lot of research on. So you're hurting yourself by actually doing this. So the S of space stands for you got to start your day. When's it going to be and what's that going to look like on a regular basis?
So what are some of the start of day things that you find top performers, other than not hitting the snooze button, okay? Because we definitely agree with you there. Are there other things that top performers are putting into the start of their day, specifically now in 2022?
Sure. It depends on the person because there's two, there's more than two. There's 2 generally accepted types of people, right? And David and Joe, you tell me, are you morning people or are you night owls?
Night owl.
I'm a morning person.
Okay. So right there, your routines are going to be very different, right? David, I'm a morning person and you're a morning person. I get up, I get out of bed, I drink a bottle of water. I'm in the gym. I've got my routine done in the workout. I sit down and I read. I've got my development growth going in my mind. That's my morning routine to get myself going. I've written my gratitudes for the day, right? That's gotten me moving in the right direction. Whereas Joe might move a little slower in the morning because he's a night owl or something like that. His morning routine might be getting up, getting a cup of coffee and reading something while he's slowly waking up with his cup of coffee or something like that. So the beauty of it is we all have our own personality. We all have our own lives. I don't have any children. My daughter's about to turn 21 and she doesn't live at home. So I don't have to worry about the 4-year-old running around the house I've got to deal with, sort of thing, right?
That's why I'm a morning person. I've got to run as quickly as I can to the front door.
You got to get everything done before they start waking up, right? So it becomes, we all have our own world. It's just, do you have a routine? Do you have a set time? Stop waking up at 6 o'clock today and 6:30 tomorrow and 7 o'clock the next day and then back to 6. You're not doing yourself any good. It's called your circadian rhythm. And the more regular you can be with your sleep, the better your sleep will be so you can use the rest of the day properly. So starting the day and making sure we have our morning time and morning routine set.
That's awesome. Chad, bring us into the next letter.
Yeah, the P, of course, we can all spell space. So the P, you know it's coming. P stands for promises. Okay, now I'm going to bust bubble and bust a myth, especially in the real estate industry and specifically at Keller Williams, because the first thing everyone's told to always put on their calendar is what?
Lead generation.
Yeah, lead generation, right? No, it's not accurate. I'm sorry to be the guy to tell everybody out there. The first thing that goes on your calendar is when are you starting your day? The second thing that goes on your calendar are your promises. So these are things you've already promised to do. That might be, I've promised my hairdresser that I would be there for my appointment, right? Not me. I don't have to worry about that. That might be, I've promised to pick my kids up at school at a certain time. I've promised that seller that I will be there for that listing appointment, or I've promised that buyer we're going to go look at houses. Whatever promises we've made that impact other people are the next thing to go on our calendar as we're building our schedule out. The reason for this, guys, is we have to see what time is taken and what time is available based on commitments we've already made. If I want to go to the team meeting, great. I promised I'll be at the team meeting and I can't control when that happens. I have to commit to promising that I'll be at your team meeting at this time. I got to lock that time in on my calendar so I can see what's taken and I can see what's still available for me.
That's really good. And selfishly, I actually am looking at my schedule and I'm like, man, this is probably a point of like, I need to tighten up a little bit right here, because sometimes as we continue to scale out, the time we need for those promises to keep those commitments it's a little greater. And so I've had to do some adjustment. All right. So SP, I'm not a world-class speller, but A, what's A?
You got it. A is next. A stands for your advancements. So I believe there's 4 areas of life that I focus on with my clients. That's your love life, your improvement of yourself, your fitness, and your economic world. So right now, it's what are the priorities in those 4 areas that are going to advance you to the next level? So my love life, that's obviously in my case, my wife. She's a priority to me. I want to keep that relationship. So there are things that I do. It's massaging her hands. There's a whole long story behind it, yet it's massaging her hands. So there's 5 minutes on my calendar at the end of every day where I'm going to sit there and massage my wife's hands, right? There's what are my promises or my advancements to improve myself? Well, I read every day. So there's 15 minutes scheduled twice a day for me to be reading. There's time for me to listen to podcasts. For my fitness, you heard my workout. There's my meal planning. There's my other things that go into my fitness. I'm extremely focused when it comes to my fitness and my training and all that. And then the economic, that's my lead generation, right? That generates my money for me. It's reviewing my budget every single day. It's my lead generation opportunities. It's my lead follow-up. They are not the same thing, listener. Lead generation is not lead follow-up. Once you've generated the lead, if you keep calling that same person, that's not lead generating. That's lead follow-up. Okay?
Important distinction.
I'll get off that soapbox before I get too far into it, right? These are our advancements and they go on our calendar next. They don't have to go on in the order of LIFE. If economic is most important to you, put it on first. It just spells life. To remember the acronym. You put your advancements on the calendar. You commit the time to saying, look, here's when I'm getting up. Here's the promises I've made to people. Now, here are the things that are most important to me to be living the life I truly want to live. That's the A, that's the advancements.
Before we move on, Chad, you've brought up fitness a couple of times. I'm just curious if you could maybe touch on how fitness has played an impact in your world and how you've maybe seen a direct correlation between physical health and business productivity.
I was 245, I'm 5'10", I was 245 pounds. I was so out of shape. I didn't have the energy to keep going. I wasn't making good choices in my life. It led into a state of depression because of my health. I now am still 5'10". I haven't grown or shrunk. Years later now, I'm 158 pounds as of this morning, and I have 6% body fat on me, and can finally see my abs because I've been completely focused on my training and my health. Health gives us energy. Health gives us confidence because we always look at ourselves. There's no way not to look at yourself. You brush your teeth, you look at yourself in the mirror, right? And subconsciously, we are always looking at ourselves and we are either satisfied with how we look or we are disappointed with ourselves with how we look. Okay, so health is the one thing that's going to lead us towards that satisfaction and move us in a positive direction. Even if we're not incredibly unhealthy, we'll still look at ourselves and see that extra pound. We'll see that, whatever it is. And it's going to be the thing that hurts the mindset and starts to pull us in a different direction. And, I have no control over it, or, it's not my fault, or, I did, it's not, you can always change it. That's the amazing thing. The better your health, the more energy you have to continue giving, right? It's been said by so many people, I never get the quote right. You have one body, So where else are you going to live? You better take care of it.
Right.
And it
So let me ask you, let me ask you a real tactical question then. So you asked about, whether or not we were morning or night people. Are you saying that your advancement in fitness, like your workout actually goes after the promises that you've made in a day?
Yes.
Okay.
My workout is my fitness advancement. So I've got to look at it. For example, okay, I have a flight later this week that I got to get up and I got to get on early because I've made a promise to go speak somewhere. Right. So I have to get up. So my advancement, which is my fitness, I have to figure out where my workout can go around that. I don't get to lock my workout in at 4:30 every morning like I do it and then just say, no, if I have to be heading to the airport at 4:30 in the morning, I can't think I'm in the gym. So I've got to do these in the order of operations that they go for a reason.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. All right, so we've got our advancements then, and thank you for pointing out too that it was life, right? LIFE. Yep. Joe's probably smart enough to have realized that. I was not until you said it, so thank you.
Love
that
acronym.
Helps. All right, what's C?
C is chaos. And now this is the one that throws so many people for a loop. Chaos goes on your calendar because guys, there's two types of chaos. Okay, so what I teach my coaching clients is that every day there should be 30 to 60 minutes of chaos on your calendar. The only rule is it can't come before 2:00. Okay. And I'll explain why so you'll understand why. Chaos goes on our calendar anytime after 2:00 every day. There's two types of chaos. First type of chaos is controllable chaos. It sounds like this. Mom, okay, or dad, right? The kid pulling at you. Hey, you got a second? Right? And David, I know you get about 100 of those a day, right? Your cell phone ringing. These are all controllable chaos moments. And what I realized is if someone says, got a second, I say, yes, I do at 2:00. I'm not saying no to you. I'm saying, yes, I do at 2:00. Odds are you don't come back half the time because you've solved it. Yet if you really needed it, I will have time in a window at 2:00 for you to interrupt. When my phone rings, and I'm sorry, again, I bust certain myths when I get the opportunity to speak to people. Realtors do not have to answer their phone as soon as it rings every time. Let me ask you this, Joe, have you ever gone to sleep?
Yes.
Do you answer your phone while you're sleeping?
Absolutely not.
Okay. David, have you ever been in an intimate moment with somebody important in your life?
Yes, thankfully.
Do you answer the phone during that?
No.
Good,
we would be done.
And every agent out there listening, if you've been on a listing appointment, you do not answer your phone in the middle of a listing appointment.
Right.
You know you don't, right? We all know that. So why do you think as soon as your phone rings, you have to answer it? Because you're just not in one of those moments. The person on the other end of the phone does not know where you are and what you're doing. If you should be lead generating, keep doing what you should be doing. Don't stop and answer your phone. Let it go into that chaos time and call people back then. Okay. So that's controllable chaos. I can move the gotta seconds. I can move answering the phone and dealing with the voicemail. I can move little things like that need attention, yet they don't need it right now. I should be focused on my promises or my advancements. Okay. Uncontrollable chaos, on the other hand, shows up. And it has to be dealt with when it does. That's the flat tire. That's the power outage that morning. That's the, oh my gosh, your kid was sick and the school called and said, you got to come get them, right? Something you have to deal with right then, right there. Now, what happens most of the time is we stop, we deal with that uncontrollable chaos, and then we never get back to what we should have been doing, and we blame chaos for it. Well, it's not my fault I had a flat tire. It's not my fault my kid was sick. Okay. By having this time late in the day, and this is why I say it has to go after 2:00, if chaos, that uncontrollable chaos shows up in the morning, I have a block of time in the afternoon to do what it took from me. So now when it robs my lead generation, or it robs my paperwork, or it robs an appointment, or it robs time with my spouse or whatever, I have time in the afternoon where my schedule says, hey, chaos, that I can say, oh, Now I can do those things that I had said needed to be done, and chaos stole them from me. So chaos
like scheduling. It's almost like scheduling in a cushion so that if anything falls behind, you've got this buffer. If you need to redirect hey, do you have a minute? You have this buffer. It's just planning for the unexpected because we know it's going to happen.
Every single day. Yep.
Love it.
Too many people are reactive, not proactive.
Right.
If they haven't read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, stop, drop, and read it, folks. Okay. You got to be proactive. So plan for this chaos to show up because it's coming.
Definitely.
Okay.
So take us into that last letter, E.
The last letter, I'm going to go to the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People again. Habit number 2, we start with the end in mind. So it's the end of the day. Most people think starting with the end in the mind, David, means what are my goals for the year and then how am I going to get there? What they sometimes forget to say is end of mind means, hey, my day ends at 8 o'clock or my day ends at 10 o'clock. And how many people are out there still working at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning because they did not plan their day to end. So they did not plan to be done on time. And then they just find themselves, I'll just be up till 1 in the morning typing these things and sending this and filling in this and reviewing this. Go to bed, people. Because no matter what, the most important thing you can ever do for yourself is sleep. So they've got to have an end of day in mind. And I would recommend actually scheduling 2 ends of day, end of your work day and end of your day. See, we become adults and we think we don't need bedtime anymore. And it's never more important to have a bedtime because it works that circadian rhythm. It keeps us sleeping well. It gives us the sleep we need. And it puts us into a routine which allows us to say at 10 o'clock, it's lights out, at 11 o'clock. And I don't care what time it is. You want to be up till 2 in the morning and sleep until 8? Great. That's your choice. You want to go to bed at 9 o'clock at night and be up at 4? Great. That's your choice. Depends if you're that night owl or that morning person. It's completely up to you. Yet we have to have the end of the day scheduled. So that's space, right? Start your day, promises, advancements, chaos, end of the day. My recommendation is you block your whole day because white space on your calendar gets filled with the white noise of life. And that's that stuff that is non-productive, non-successful, that just takes over time. And when you say, hey, I should have some me time on my calendar, or I need to do some paperwork on my calendar, great. Put that on your calendar so you know when it's coming and you know when you can deal with it. Now you've created a powerful tool that all you have to do is answer to it, and it'll tell you what to do and it'll show you what your success will be.
I really like that, what you just said. You can then answer to it, right? Like then your standard and your response. Like I love when my response can be canned to someone because I look down at my calendar and I say, I can commit to this or I can't commit to this because of that. It doesn't matter if the commitment is, my personal reading for a few minutes. Like that's there. I can do that. And then my calendar becomes, the thing that I'm saying.
Your calendar is your boss, David, right? And that's what I say in the book. And I say Sunday night, my recommendation, all my coaching clients submit their calendars to me Sunday night. Sunday night, they sit down and they build their calendar because on Sunday, we're logical, not emotional. Because our calendar is looking ahead. So I build the perfect calendar. Now I know you're not going to live the perfect calendar. Changes are going to be made. Every night you're going to look at the calendar and you're going to have to make adjustments to the next day because something came up or something changed or whatever. Yet on Sunday night, you can be logical. Tuesday at 10 o'clock, when someone asks you for something, now you're emotional with your answer, not logical anymore. Let your calendar be your boss. You get the chance to tell it what you're going to do. Now you answer to it, and the results will show up at the level you've scheduled.
Chad, where do you think like people fall down? And maybe it's all over the place, but is there one in particular like area where maybe, and I'm thinking like people who are already high performers, but like to go to an elite level, are you finding them tripping up on any one of these specific areas most? Everyone's
different. Sadly, I love be able to answer with a specific, yes, you're all failing here, fix this, right? Yet some people are great at their promises and keeping those times. And then some people mess up at advancements. A lot of people, I would say, if there was one, it's the end of the day, right? Very few people truly say, look, I'm going to bed at this time. I go to bed at a certain time. At 8 o'clock, my wife and I start shutting everything down. By 9 o'clock, it's lights out. That people that I'm actually texting at 8:45 while I'm brushing my teeth or something, they will actually say to me, why are you responding this late? Because they know my schedule says at 8 o'clock, I start shutting things down, and only coaching clients will I usually answer that late. And they'll make fun of the fact that I'm texting them at 8:45. I should be in bed by now. Yet that's why I can wake up at 4 o'clock fully energized and get so much done before the world starts disturbing me or interrupting me or saying, hey, we need this from you. I've already gotten 4 hours of stuff done before people are starting to bother me.
Listeners know well to the that I have a huge man crush on Tom Brady, and pretty much everything that I know that's good in my life came from Tom Brady. But I mean, there's a reason why Mr. TB12 goes to bed at 8 o'clock every single day. That is exactly what you're saying, and It allows him that space and that energy to do everything else. So whether you love or hate Tom Brady, I know rumors are flying right now about is he retired, is he not retired? I don't know. But anyway, regardless, peak performance has to do so often with that end of day. And so, yeah, I hope that our listeners will take this and really analyze and craft their end of day, for themselves.
David, you bring up a great point there with Tom, who, like him. I'm not a Tom Brady fan personally. He's still the GOAT, though. Right. You got to admit that whether you like, I was a Peyton Manning guy. So, of course, you were just anti-Tom at that time.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I can still respect what he's done. Yet here's the thing. On a Monday night football game, you can be sure his bedtime's not 8 o'clock. OK, yet here's what I can guarantee you he does, even though I don't know him. He adjusts his schedule and he says, OK, I know the game doesn't end until this time. I know I have a 2-hour routine after the game before I'm going to go to sleep. I know on a Monday night, I'm not getting to bed till, we'll just say midnight on a Monday night football game day. Okay, you can be sure his start of the next day, he's waking up a little later. You can be sure the day earlier, he adjusted his sleep so that being up that late wasn't all of a sudden a shock into his system. You can be sure when he's logical building the calendar and sees the Sunday night or Monday night game, he plans his week appropriately. So when he gets there, it's not a shock to his system. Unlike other people who just say, oh, I go to bed at 8 o'clock at night. I go to bed at 8 o'clock at night. Oh, no, the football game's too good. I got to stay up until 11:30 to watch it, and mess up their whole routine.
And that really is what separates the best from everybody else, right? Is that intentionality that you're describing, that thinking like a true business owner and being in 100% of control of your calendar and not just being reactive to life's events.
Yes. Too many realtors say, when do you want to meet? Right. That's the worst thing they could say. When do you want to meet? Instead of saying, I have an opening at 1 and an opening at 3. Right. Your lawyer, your hairdresser, your dentist, your doctor. I don't know anybody out there who says, well, when do you want me to come over? They always say, this is when we have, pick a time. And when you say those don't work, they say, okay, make it a suggestion and we'll see what we can figure out. And realtors just say, when do you want to meet? Stop it. Control your calendar, control your world.
So, Chad, you took us through the SPACE, acronym, and that's super helpful. I mean, there's so much more packed into Achieve Your Apex. I mean, why else should listeners pick up your book?
Because I've been there and I've failed and I've documented what to do to not do what I've done. Right. I talk through, there's 20 chapters in Achieve Your Apex, and 19 of them we share stories of others. Right. So it's not just me saying, hey, do this, do this. I mean, we go and we talk to other people who have had success, not necessarily in the real estate industry, yet have had success with a lesson that we're teaching, working on your strengths and your weaknesses, how to control your environment, how to control your calendar, as we've talked, how to set goals properly. And we take you through the journey. Achieve Your Apex means two different things. So apex is the top of the mountain where we all want to be. Apex is also the apex predator, which is the top of the food chain. And there are so many lessons we can learn from tigers and lions and eagles and bears that we also share in the story, on lessons that we can take as people and say, aha, right? A tiger knows his strengths. A tiger also knows his weaknesses. Now, he might not be as conscious as we are, as we think, because we're human, right? Versus what they think. Yet they have weaknesses. So do we. Don't deny the fact that the greatest killing animal in the world, the shark, has weaknesses. Of course it does. You walk up on the beach, you're safe, right? It can't get you there, right? He's got a weakness, right? So there are all these lessons that are in the book that I have been living for years. I've been working with my coaching clients, that it was just time to finally put together and say, look, I can't get to everybody. I can't speak at every convention. I can't meet everybody and coach everybody. So let me put it into a book that you can go read and you can hear the lessons, because every book out there has a lesson or two that can help anybody. And I know this one has one for everybody that's listening to this podcast.
Well, I'm already ready for round 2 with Chad. You know, an episode called like Chad and the Eye of the Tiger or something like, something fancy like that.
It.
Well, let's do it.
And we could talk all day. And yet I'm going to transition us to the last segment of our show, which is 3, 2, 1 action. It's the same 3 questions we ask every guest. Let's get this show on the road. Question number 1.
Chad, who is the one person who has had the biggest impact on your professional career and why?
Wow. One person. I'm going to say Ben Kinney. Why? Well, he became a friend first. He created a path for me. He opened some doors for me. He told me the things I didn't want to hear. He has helped create the opportunities that are in front of me. So at this point, I'm going to say Ben Kinney. Wow. Earlier in our conversation, just because we had talked about her, I might've said Terry Brinkus. And then I could go all the way out there to Gary Keller and the lessons he shared. And boy, I could go all the way to John Maxwell, right? I mean, I could go so many.
I feel like he just snuck in like 5 other people.
Yeah,
right?
I cheated. I did.
Yeah, what unbelievable, Chad. I love it. No, Ben is an awesome answer. Maybe you'll help us get him on the podcast. He's been like Jell-O, man. Anyway, question number 2. What is the most influential book on your business and why?
Okay, you really only want one, right? I'll give credit to the one thing. I'll say the one thing has probably been one of those books that more than any other had made such an impact. And there's 2 reasons. So one, because it's an amazing book. Gary and Jay wrote an amazing book with some amazing research that was in there. And the reason I choose it over 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is because I was also a certified One Thing trainer. I was the trainer of the year when I traveled the country sharing that message. So not only did the book impact me, it gave me a platform to help impact others. So that's why it gets the edge over 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Very cool, and obviously an appropriate answer, especially with the conversation we've had today.
Yes.
So if you haven't read that book yet, go out there and get it. All right, Chad, third and final question for you. As you know, this is the All In podcast where we encourage our listeners to go out there and take action. So what's the one thing our listeners can go do today to begin moving the needle forward in their business?
Again, I can give you 7 answers to that simple question, right? The one thing they should do today, I'll go back on the conversation we had. Folks, sit down and build your calendar properly for the next week. Right? That would be the easy, obvious answer. You want to go all in, build a calendar that says, if I do this, when I follow this, I will be a success and I will sell X number of homes, because your calendar will dictate that. If you know your conversion rate is 50%, for example, then you know you need 2 appointments for every 1 you want to close. Okay, so if you know you want to close 50, I better look at your calendar and see 100 appointments on there. And that means, 2 a week along the way, however you want to break that down. So if I had to say one thing, I would say go build the calendar and build it properly. I know my way works. If I snuck in a second thing, I'd say order the book, because there's going to be more than one lesson in there, and there'll be others that will apply to you on how you go all in on becoming the success you want to be.
Very helpful. And on that note, I know so many of our listeners are going to want to find more of your content. They're going to want to read the book. Where is the best place for our listeners to connect with you, Chad, and find more of your content?
Okay, so to connect with me, it's chadhyams.com. It's spelled Hyams. I don't eat them. I don't like them. It's just the easy way to spell it correctly. chadhyams.com. You can go there. You can connect with me on all the things that I do. There's a tab there. You could just go to achieveyourapex.com direct, or you could go to chadhyams.com. You can get the book on the website. It's the same price as Amazon, except I'll send you a signed copy. So if you want to get it from the website, you can do that, or you can go to Amazon. You want to connect with me socially, facebook.com/ChadHyams. I'm Chad Hyams everywhere. There's only one of me, so it's really easy on all the social platforms to find Chad Hyams.
Really good. We're going to link up the book in the show notes. We're going to make sure people connect with you. Thanks so much for spending time with us, Chad. This has been a lot of fun and super valuable for our audience. I can't wait till we get to meet and connect in person.
I look forward to that, and I look forward to part 2 whenever you guys want to do it. After you've read the book, we'll dive into it a little more, and we'll have that Eye of the Tiger episode.
Awesome. Well, guys, this has been another episode of the All In Podcast. As always, go play all in.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to this episode of the All In Podcast. We want to invite you to find all of today's resources from our show page at aipodcast.co. We also ask that you take just 1 minute to leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. This is how we grow and how we're able to bring you the best content each and every week. Now go play all in.